Happy Thursday, everybody. Today's video is going to be a little bit shorter because I want to give you time to start your homework assignment. The homework assignment that's posted, whatever's left in the 40-minute typical time frame that I want you guys working each day, start working on that homework. But whatever you don't get done can wait until Monday. That's all I have scheduled for Monday, is just to give you guys more time to finish it. So if you want to work on it over the weekend so that you have nothing to do for me on Monday, you can. It's kind of up to you, okay? But I just wanted to give you a heads up. So here's a problem that might be an example of something you might see. So let's read through it together. Abby and Raquel like to eat sub sandwiches. However, they noticed that the lengths of the 6-inch sub sandwiches they get at their favorite restaurant seemed shorter than the advertised length. To investigate, they randomly selected 24 different times during the next month and ordered a 6-inch sub. Here are the actual lengths in inches of each of the 24 sandwiches. Okay, so there's 24. So each of the 24, here's the data that they got. So do these data provide convincing evidence that at the 0.10 significance level, that the sandwiches at this restaurant are shorter than advertised? So for example, before we get too much further, I can already tell the no is that the mean is 6 inches. They're saying that they think it's smaller. Yeah, seems shorter. So their alternative is saying I think it's actually less than 6, okay? You've got a sample size of 24, and then here's all their data. So here's the part that adds a little extra twist. You might get a question like this where they haven't actually calculated X bar or the sample standard deviation. They haven't calculated it for you. So a little reminder, going back to first semester a little bit, in your graphing calculator, if you type in all this data into L1 and hit stat, one variable stats L1, you can get your sample mean and your sample standard deviation that way, okay? If you don't remember how to do that, you can Google it, look it up, or just stop by for office hours and I'll help you remember which buttons to hit to get to that screen. So here's the solution for this. Now, the reason I wanted to show you literally the entire answer is I just kind of want to walk through it. The state plan do conclude is exactly the same it was for confidence intervals, and it's exactly the same it was for significance tests for proportions earlier this week. So it's not like we're adding anything too crazy. So your state, we want to perform a test at the 0.10 significance level of, here's our null and our alternative, and then you have to say what does mu stand for, where mu is the true mean length of all 6-inch subs from this restaurant. Okay, so here's the plan. We want to do a 1 sample t test. Remember how in confidence intervals we'd say a 1 sample t interval? So now we're just changing interval to, well, we're doing a test. Is it random? Yep, they randomly selected those 24. And then normal or large sample size. Well, normally the condition for that is the sample size greater than or equal to 30, right? Well, remember there's another little twist that can happen here. The sample size is smaller than 30, but if we were to plot it out, notice how it doesn't seem like there's any outliers, doesn't seem skewed. In fact, if I were to draw a curve, it would look pretty symmetrical, so we can move forward. If you remember that from Unit 7, that was kind of an exception we can make. Honestly, you guys, most of the time the sample size is bigger than 30 anyways, and you don't even have to worry about it. But I just wanted to make sure you knew if that pops up, that that's okay, and you can move forward as long as you have the data in front of you. All right, so here's the do. So I'm assuming they got these numbers by just typing it into their graphing calculator, right? So I have mine in front of me. Let me remember where it all comes from. Yeah, so if you hit the stat button and then scroll over to calc, and it's option 1, one variable stats. As long as you typed in all that data from this last page on L1, right, then you can do one variable stats L1, and that's where you should get those same numbers that these guys got. Remember though, this is a sample standard deviation, so do not use sigma of x if you're typing it into your graphing calculator, right? Make sure you're using the sample standard deviation, okay? All right, so they calculated their t-value, our x bar minus the null hypothesis all over the standard deviation, and then they got negative 2.41 with a degrees of freedom of 23. So it doesn't show a picture of the table, but remember on the table you're looking for degrees of freedom of 23, and you're saying, okay, 2.41 lies in between these two numbers, whatever those two numbers are that are on the table. And given this answer right here, if you follow those two numbers upwards, it must be between 0.01 and 0.02. So that's where they said, all right, the p-value is in between those two numbers. Remember, you don't have to know exactly what it is. As long as it's in between those two, both of those probabilities, those p-values, are less than our alpha or significance level of 0.1. So it doesn't really matter exactly what that number was. So then our conclude, because the p-value of between 0.01 and 0.02 is less than that significance level of 0.1, we reject the null hypothesis. There is convincing evidence that the true mean length of all 6-inch subs at this restaurant is less than 6 inches. Okay, so that's kind of how it works. It's a lot like proportion, right? So it should look very familiar. Couple little changes. The n is greater than or equal to 30 is a little bit of a change, and then using that t-table is a little bit of a change as well, okay? Other than that, you guys are going to start homework number 3 today. You'll be able to finish this assignment on Monday. That's all you're going to have. You're not going to see a video from me or anything like that, and then it'll be due Monday by midnight, okay? So remember, feel free to stop in for office hours if you have questions, or if you need me to kind of walk you through the t-table or anything like that. Let me know how I can help, okay? If I don't talk with you, have an awesome weekend, and I will see you guys on Monday.